Blended learning to me means the way in which students are learning and the way they are obtaining the information, whether that's whole group, independent work, or collaborative groups. But I also took it a step further and thought about my classroom dynamics in my classroom setting. I have flexible seating, and I believe that that applies to blended learning as well. So in my classroom for flexible seating, no matter what the subject content is, and throughout the day, students have the freedom to get up and move as they please, whatever in which helps them to learn the best. So I have places that are good for standing, places that are good for students who fidget a lot. I have places that students like to curl up and get comfortable. They can lay on the floor. Whatever it may be to help their learning is what I want them to do. So I feel like student choice in that really applies to the blended learning method. Lucky enough in fifth grade to have one-to-one iPads for all the students. So this makes it very easy for me to implement and use technology to help enhance their education. So I'm able to use a variety of sources in a variety of ways and use things that are meeting the needs of all of my students. So a lot of the times I use platforms like Google Classroom to organize everything, and I'll use that for almost every single subject. And also we use some things like Seesaw. Seesaw is an online app that allows students to upload artifacts to show mastery of content. So basically it's a portfolio, and no longer do the teachers have to house folders full of papers and everything else to show student progress. We utilize Seesaw, so the students are responsible for that and to show their progress throughout the year. Personally, I think problem-based learning is the way in which we teach as well. The old school way of teaching was the I do, we do, you do. So taking a lesson and showing the students how to do it, doing it together as a group, and then showing the mastery independently. Uh, I've kind of flip-flopped that and started backwards, where I do the you do, we do, I do. So I will say math, for instance. I will give them a problem that's already solved, and I'll have them get into their collaborative groups where they are trying to figure out the way in which you solve the problem, determining rules, determining tips and tricks, and things like that. Once we do that for a little bit, and I see that students start to have some ideas, we'll come back and talk as a whole group, and we will do it together. We will talk about our strategies, talk about what rules we've came up with, and see what works and what does not for a multitude of problems. From there, then once we have some strategies, once we have the list of steps that we've come up with as a group, I will then show them how to solve it, how we need them to solve it using Common Core. One of the things that I took from the reading was when they discussed the social roles of students in the classroom, and they actually said that how the online courses and having strictly online courses actually built the relationships between students and teachers. I know I've said a lot about how I use technology, however, it's not the end-all be-all for me. I actually disagree with that comment from my personal standpoint and my students actually are reluctant to have conversations about their education. So I don't necessarily use technology all the time because I need them to collaborate, argue respectfully, and just communicate with each other their thoughts, just to get that idea and to build those collaboration skills. Um, so that's about the only thing that I disagreed with from the article, but that's my one takeaway from it. So that's my take on blended learning. I'd be happy to hear any feedback. Thank you.